wrestling fans, and we are the degenerates that like to talk about it. Thank you for listening to Kicking At It Too. I'm Mike. With me is Tori. How are you, Tori?
I'm good. How are you feeling? For
Uh,
those that are just tuning in, Michael has COVID.
yep.
Finally,
So,
the Rona caught him.
yep. Ran as far as I could, but my fat ass couldn't run far enough.
Oh, see, I wasn't going to do that to you.
But I'm on my second day. I'm okay. Vaccine for those that don't believe in it. Like, I feel good today, less like dog crap. So it did something for me. Anyway, so today we're going to debut a new type of show. We're going to call it I Need Five. Shout out to Big E for that one.
Think I'm Bundy.
We're always going to disagree on that one.
Bundy started it. How are we going to disagree on this? It was Bundy's thing.
I don't disagree. But it's more fun if I say that you're wrong. So for these episodes, what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about top fives that we feel in a certain thing. Normally we'll do this in short form, but I kind of feel since Raw was a recap show, we just kind of have a free form little talk about our top fives for certain types of categories throughout the year. We also have some input from some of our viewers and some of our friends on what they feel their top five are. So we'll kind of go through those. How this is going to go is I'm going to say the topic, and Tori's going to shout off her stuff, and we're going to just talk about it. So let's go ahead and start with, let's say, Tag Team of the Year.
My top five. I've got my number one is a tie for me. I put the Usos and FTR. Their years speak for themselves. I mean, the Usos still have the titles. They have the longest run. They're part of the biggest storyline in wrestling right now. They're hitting on a whole new level. FTR, what they've done this year and everywhere they've done it, it speaks for itself. What I would not give for that match right now.
Oh, FTR and Usos. Yeah.
The FTR and the Usos. And if the FTR goes back, they need to be FTR. Don't make them the revival again.
No.
Use the music. I don't care, but they're FTR. Leave it alone.
No, use that music because that music was banging.
That music was banging. I don't know if I'm going 2 or 3, however we want to count this. My next team would be the Acclaimed. They've had a breakout year. Everybody loves the Acclaimed.
Yep.
Next one is Street Profits. They've had a great year, even with Montez's injury. The little bit that Angelo got to do on his own was great.
Not to mention him getting in fantastic shape.
Yes.
He dropped a good amount of LBs, put on some good muscle, and I don't know if it was a comfortability thing, but like he's been wrestling without the jersey a lot lately, so I don't know if he's just more comfortable.
I'm a big fan of what they're going to do with the Street Profits. Them against the Usos, it's believable.
Yeah,
that's been my biggest complaint with the Usos. Is everybody against them? Nobody's buying that.
Right. We're not buying Hit Row wins because of
but you put the
match.
Street Profits in there. I'm buying that. I'm going. Oh shit, that was almost 3.
Yeah,
I'm buying it if they pull it off. It's not a bad loss.
I don't disagree.
My last tag team is going to be the New Day because they're the New Day. I've loved these guys since day one. Their gimmick was terrible to begin with. Mm-hmm. We've seen the video. Xavier's like, look, let us what we want to do. If it doesn't work, fire me. I don't care.
Yeah.
Let us do something. My honorable mention is going to be Daddy Magic and Cool Hand.
Yeah. The bulk and skull of AEW wrestling are definitely a lot of fun. Go AEW.
For those that don't know, those were the 2 jobber characters from the original Power Ranger series. But what they've done this year has just been stellar work. At the microphone, Daddy Magic does commentary for Dark with Big Show that came out last night, and that shit was great.
Yeah, he's definitely doing good on the mic. I'm still not buying the other kid quite yet.
Angelo Parker.
Yeah. But Daddy Magic, absolutely. He's got me. He's got me hooked.
Well, and I will say honorable, and the other I wrote down several teams when I was doing this. Butcher and Blade had a solid year. Yeah. There just was nothing stand out.
Yeah. So to me, that's very similar to I agree with you that by all means FTR has had a phenomenal year. with what they've been able to do. That's the only reason why, like, to me, I put them lower on the list, just because they were handcuffed a lot.
Yeah,
They were doing indie stuff. They were on other shows because they couldn't do anything on AEW. And so a lot of the stuff we didn't get to really see unless we looked it out on YouTube.
right,
I didn't even realize that there was a triple series of matches between them and the Briscoes until they mentioned it. And I'm like, oh, shit, there's
right,
2 more of these.
right. So speaking of, I asked someone else for their opinion, um, and they had a couple of surprises for me. They had the Usos as 1 and FTR as 2. This was our friend Brian.
What's up,
His
Brian?
third one, yeah, shout out to Brian. His third one was the Alpha Academy, which we were talking about this a little bit earlier. I had never even considered. His reasoning being they are the epitome of entertainment through losing. Their gimmick is hilarious, even though they never win. And he's not wrong.
He's not. That's I am 100% there with Brian on that one.
I
That's why
I
every
never would have
week.
pulled them out, but it's a great shout out. He's not wrong.
Yeah, no. They definitely, like, it wouldn't have been like first ballot on my top list, but him saying
No.
that, like, every Monday night, I'm the one saying that out of the 2 of us, of, yeah, this team went over, but I really love what they did here because it
Yeah.
was funny and it was
Right.
very entertaining. So it all
Um,
depends on what you're looking at for your top 5.
Absolutely. His number 4 was the Briscoes. He feels they're underrated and should be in the WWE. And his number 5 was the Street Profits. He said really talented and lots of future potential.
Yeah.
So I like I said, his reasoning for uh the Alpha Academy made a lot of sense. Like I said, I would have never picked them because if I'm thinking best of, I'm thinking
Most
what
successful.
they've done, successful, so on.
Yeah.
Which the New Day has taken a lot of losses this year.
Yeah.
But they're the NXT Tag Team Champions. They're first time Triple Crown. They just lost their longest reigning streak.
Yeah.
Like, to me,
does Woodsy unofficially be a 4-crown winner? Because he was the king of the ring. 4th crown.
Just go ahead and cut that part. That was so bad. It was so bad. Wow. No.
No? Anyway, you said Earl responded too. What did Earl have
He
to say?
did. I'm trying to find it. Where is Senior Earl?
Shout out to Earl, one of the nicest people I know.
Yes, Earl is amazing. At some point, we need to have him on the show because I love me some Earl.
Yep. There's definitely a line of people that both Tori and I have agreed. Like,
Yes,
we need to put
here
people
he
on
is.
here as guest shows.
Tag teams. He in no specific order. He did specify this was no specific order. He said the Acclaimed, the Usos, FTR, the Briscoes, and United Empire, which I
Okay.
thought was a nice inclusion.
That
I
is a
didn't
nice
know
inclusion.
anything about them till Forbidden Door, till all of that happened. But I'm impressed. They're amazing.
Yeah. They're over New Japan, right?
New Japan.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's too much wrestling, which
Right.
is
We
a
can
good
only keep
problem to
up so
have.
much.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have,
Until
but I
until
definitely
we
don't know a
start
lot about
making
that.
money off this, we only have so much time here.
That's right. Until I can quit my job.
Right. So shout out to Earl for that one.
All right. Let's go with go ahead and go with females.
Females. Okay, so I'm gonna catch some hate for this, but I'll live with it. Bianca was my number 1. She's just the resume speaks for itself.
Yeah.
She's carried that women's division. My number 2 is Sasha. I'll come back to that. My number 3 is Liv. She's had an incredible year. They finally put the title on her. I love me some Liv Morgan.
Yep.
Number 4, Jamie Hayter. I think she's finally getting her due. She's been a great performer, and the fact that they finally put the title on her, I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
And my 5th one's Jade Cargill. You can't argue with everything she's done.
Not at all. I mean, that's a very solid list, and I agree with you with Sasha. Like,
she hasn't wrestled since May, but is there anybody else in the business other than what's going on with Mandy right now that's more talked about than Sasha?
Right.
I feel bad for Naomi because she gets kind of left out, but is there anybody more talked about in the women's division in any company in the world than Sasha?
No, and that's it's a testament to how good she is.
She is, absolutely.
Like, even now, so like the show Barmageddon comes on after Raw, and there's an episode next week that has Sasha Banks in it, labeled as Sasha Banks. And
which
yeah, it
is
was
funny,
probably recorded before any of that went down,
right?
but like
Which is
still,
funny
they could have
because
scrubbed that in a heartbeat if they really wanted to.
that plays January 2nd, and January 4th she makes her debut in New Japan.
Yeah.
So that's why I included Sasha. I just can't not. Her
Yeah.
work up to that point had been stellar, and then the fact that she stood up and said, "No, I'm not doing this," and had the stones, her and Naomi both, to walk away.
Yeah.
I can't. To me, that alone should put her in the top 5.
Absolutely. And she's out there. She's in Star Wars. She's in movies. She's doing runway work. She's got her own brand now. She's done her own name now. It's Mercedes Money. Like,
Which is amazing.
Yeah, that's about as Sasha Banks as you can get without being Sasha Banks. That's very smart of how they do it. Where did our friends line up at?
Our friend lined up at Senior Brian, Bianca. He said this is Brian's opinion. He said not a personal favorite, but hard to argue with results of the year. Yep. He said Bailey's number 2, best heel in the company. Becky, the man is always on top, was number 3. Mandy Rose was number 4. He said had an amazing year and deserves to be on the list just for being jobbed out by the WWE for being sexy on her own.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 5 was Liv Morgan, became champ, and the crowd loves her. And I don't disagree with any of it.
No, the only one I might say is just Bailey, just because she just came back and hasn't really had like a stellar comeback yet.
Right.
All that's obviously like it's still too soon to tell how all that will come out in the end. But yeah, like putting her in the top 5, I don't think is definitely a bad move. But I don't know if I'd have her in a top 5.
Gotcha.
What about Mr. Earl?
He said Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, and Mandy Rose. And I can't argue with the Rhea inclusion either.
No,
she's had a stellar year.
Rhea has had a reinvention of her character. Of
the whole mommy thing. The whole mommy thing is great.
Yeah, and her playing into it. That's the thing. Like she's doing her pin a little more sexualized. She's rubbing and touching on Dom when they come to the ring. Like she's definitely leaning into it. And the stuff that her and Dom are doing on YouTube,
yes,
like, amazing stuff. I hope WWE is a part of that. If not, they need to let them do more of that stuff. They need to plan.
I would assume they are. I don't see them rolling around with a camera crew like that, but whatever.
I don't know.
So, like I said, both of them had Mandy. I don't disagree. She didn't jump to the top of my list, but I'm the first to own I don't watch a ton of NXT.
Yeah,
I knew she had the title. I knew she's been running it, but
so I watched the NXT PLEs, and like I always watched those, and her work has been stellar. Like in comparison to Mandy Rose, the blonde bombshell, the
right. God's greatest creation.
God's greatest creation. Thank you. I was trying to pull that out of my head and I couldn't think of it. She definitely is a lot better than what that used to be, and her holding that NXT Women's title for as long as she has, with the people that have went through there, absolute stellar year.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely cannot argue with that at all. All right, so now for the main event, the men.
Sorry, yes,
and that's just how it fell. That we weren't waiting for the men to be the main event.
We're not being sexist here. I had Roman as my 1. It speaks for itself.
Yeah, it's hard to argue Roman.
He is literally the island of relevancy right now.
Yeah.
My number 2 was Seth. Again, what can be said?
Yeah. He held the company together while they figured out the Roman project.
My 3, 4, and 5, I'm not 100% sold on, but I'm going to go with them. And it's Mox, Claudio, and Brian Danielson.
Okay.
Mox has carried AEW. Danielson has, to an extent, reinvented himself.
Yeah.
And Claudio's 2 Ring of Honor World title wins. He's shown what he could actually do if he'd have been given the chance in the WWE, and he never was.
Yep. I always
Um,
thought the only problem with Claudio was like fans don't like a foreign tongue on the mic. That's
right,
kind of always where that falls. So the fact that he had William Regal, which again, it's a foreign tongue, so you know,
but it's
to,
William Regal.
but it's William Regal, which everybody loves and respects.
Right.
Talking for him and then giving him the mic for little inserts definitely was a good thing for him.
I I can say if I was going to do a top 10, if I was going to add to this or honorable mentions, whatever, MJF's got to be up there.
Yeah,
He's had an incredible year. I mean, he's a world champ.
yeah,
Wardlow has had a gangbuster of a breakout year.
yeah,
Um, and obviously he had to deal with the MJF drama, and he still, and that's another reason I would give MJF credit though. He showed up and did the business.
yeah,
Excuse me. Ricky Starks, Samoa Joe, they've all had great years.
yeah.
Jungle Boy. I just there's been so many male performers this year. And I'm not taking away from the Ty Contis and the Athenas and the Sheetas and the Rias and the Roxanne Perez's,
Right.
Nyla, Britt. I'm not taking anything away from them either. Like this year, I think has been some of the best top to bottom year we've had in a long time.
Absolutely. Since like especially since Tripp taking over, like the level that WWE has raised the bar, which has caused
Yeah,
AEW to raise the bar. Like it's the rising tides raises all ships. Like it's
100%,
absolutely
100%. I
showing everything.
agree. It's what they've done across the board between AEW. They've gotten such a bigger position platform. They're on national television now.
Yeah.
I mean, Turner has wrestling again.
Yep.
I know it's not Ted Turner, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, it's the fact that to me makes it even more unbelievable because it's the
Right,
people that didn't want wrestling.
right,
If Turner took back over, I would have no issue with him saying I want wrestling again. But
right.
it's the
And
same people that was like, no, we don't want wrestling on our channel.
which is why WCW fell apart. And
Yeah,
it's why Eric Bischoff's bid to buy WCW fell apart because he didn't have TV.
yeah.
Um,
I would be remiss if we didn't say Sammy, just because, and not just for his bloodline stuff, but
oh no,
his
I agree.
WrestleMania match with
Well, go ahead.
his WrestleMania match with the Jackass crew, like
It was so great. That
that
shit was so
itself
good.
was so fun. It's back to we've said it before. It's the smorgasbord of wrestling.
Yeah,
That's the kind of match that you need to have in WrestleMania every once in a while, just to say, okay, let's take a breather and do something just fun.
right. So Brian's top 5 was Seth, number 1. He said he carried WWE.
Absolutely.
Number 2 is Roman. Again, to me they're interchangeable.
Yeah.
He said best gimmick of Roman's career. Number 3 was MJF. He said number 4 was Cody. Would be number 1 if not for the injury, and that injury alone should be a
Yeah.
reason to put. And I had Cody on the list too. I'm just like, can I give him the top 5 off of
Yeah,
4 months?
it's very similar to me of the Bailey situation. Like,
Yeah.
can we really
Kenny
put her on
Omega,
the
same
top 5
thing.
for what little she's done this year? Like I'm not saying that it's not something worth the fight for, but
Right.
I don't see her in that top level just because she hasn't been around that far. And the same thing with Cody. Like Cody got a couple of matches
And
and then he was done.
the Hell in a Cell match alone, to me, is a top 5 match of the year.
Absolutely.
If we're talking just match, not 5-star match of the year, but just match of the year, it's easy top 5.
Absolutely.
Wrestling with that injury and that bruise, I cringed when he took his coat off.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that he asked him, "Hey, look, could this get any worse if I go in there?" And they go, "No. Like, you're not going to do any more damage than you've already done." And he's like, "All right, well, screw it. I'm going out there then."
Right. Like I said, and his number 5 was Sami Zayn. He's the most over man in WCW in WWF,
Yeah.
WWE. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong at all.
He's damn near top
Yeah.
in all of wrestling right now.
Right. Earl gave us Bryan Danielson, Mox, Sami Zayn, Roman, and MJF. So I feel like all of those were pretty
Yeah.
the same. We didn't
Well,
get yours. Do you have a list?
Well, no, that wasn't the way this works. I was going to talk
Oh,
about
okay.
y'all's list.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to put y'all under pressure, and then I get
I
to lay
just
back and just talk about it.
like
Uh,
I said, I feel like this is the best overall encompassing year of talent we've had in I don't know how long.
Absolutely, it's been an amazing year for wrestling. We've got so much. It's like I said earlier. We have too much wrestling, and that's a good problem to have.
I
Uh,
agree.
hitting the DVR on my Sling account, and I've got New Japan, and I've got MLW, and I've got
Nice.
AEW, and I've got WWE, and like all this stuff, and New Japan stuff, and like it's crazy how much is there that we just don't even have time to really look
Right.
into. But it's all great stuff, and it's
Yeah.
amazing that we're getting
I
that good
just
of stuff.
I think for any number of reasons you could make several different top fives
Yeah,
for different things. Top five mic work, top five character development, top five individual promo, top five I mean,
yeah,
there's been so much, and there's been some crap this year too. Let's just be clear.
yeah.
And there's been some stuff that was stupid and made no sense. But overall, it's been a banging year, and I couldn't be happier about it. I had kind of gotten away from watching AEW shut up, and I was interested. And then Vince left, and for me, it was a game changer with the WWE because I didn't care.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, so it, I'd give anything for an Usos FTR. I'd give anything. I'd sell Grace, and I mean, she's
Uh,
not here to defend herself, but
oh, okay. Well, you looked up, and I wondered if she was there. I was waiting for the comeback. Uh,
no,
she was about to hot tag somebody.
right?
Um,
Hot tag me in the head with something,
hit you like Ricochet got hit in the head with that chair. Uh,
right?
all right. Well, that brings us to an end of the first episode of I Need Five. Shout out to Big E and King Kong Bundy. I'll give you that one. Uh, But if you enjoyed this episode, we're going to do hopefully a lot more short form episodes. This one, roughly around 25 minutes, is going to be shorter going forward. We'll only do one top 5 thing in an episode, but just kind of to make up for the fact that we weren't going to have a Raw episode. Because I'm sure watching us watch a Raw recap for the year probably isn't the most entertaining thing in the world. So I am happy for WWE that they gave their guys a night off, though. That's.
100%. Well, SmackDown had the night off too because Friday was a recorded show.
Yep. To be clear, the crew got the night off. They had
Yes,
live shows those 2 nights, but
most of the crew got the night off.
having the TV crew get to have a night off, which I'm sure they never get to get, is really nice for them to have some time to themselves. So good on Tripp for that. Good on Steph for that. Wherever that decision was made up the chain. So good on them. But like us, follow us, share us, hit the red buttons, hit us with all of the fancy little socials there under us, and our new TikTok, which we'll put all of our short videos on. And with that being said, I'm Mike, this is Tori, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.